Okay. Okay. Hello everybody. I can't see you now on the in the gallery. So but anyway, it's nice to meet you. I'm Nicola and this is my colleague Anya. So Christina asked us a little while ago if we could do some give a little presentation on creative dissemination, because we do dissemination in a number of our projects currently, and just if you've got any sort of share a bit of our experience. I'm sure you've all got your own experiences as well, and it'd be nice to get some feedback and have a discussion about it. But I'll just give you a little overview first of all. So REDIAL, we're a community sector organisation and we're based in Dublin, in Phibsborough. We're actually at home in Swords at the moment because we couldn't get to fit, the traffic was too bad, but that's a little bit of a problem sometimes. But anyway, so we're based in Phibsborough, but we work mainly in Dublin, but we have some reach across Ireland, but that's only just starting. So we're fairly new. We've only been going about four years now. So we obviously we're starting to diversify a little bit further afield, and we've done a little bit of work elsewhere, but mainly in Dublin. So we promote social inclusion, and we do that through a number of community projects, and we have some Erasmus Plus projects as well around innovative learning, inclusive learning, youth engagement, and a number of other topics, including the environment and some creative sector projects as well. So in terms of dissemination, we just I won't read it out because I'm probably sure you've all seen it, but just that's from the EU glossary, the Erasmus Plus glossary, the definition of what dissemination is. So it's about providing information to your target groups and key actors at different levels. So in terms of us, for dissemination, when we start a project, or when we're working in a project and we've got the responsibility for dissemination, even though all partners obviously across your partnership should input into dissemination, normally there's one partner has the lead role for it. So what we always make sure we do is right from the beginning, we check the programme guide and look at the call, and make sure we read the regulations on dissemination, check that there's not been any updates on things like logos, disclaimers, any type of things you should do, shouldn't do, for any particular programs, anything that you have to say, or any particular hashtags that they want you to use, etc. Just so that you're sure from the beginning that you are that anything you're creating or doing is following the regulations, so that it will count when you're doing your final report at the end of your project. So in terms of us, we have done quality assurance and dissemination a lot in many projects, and so based on our experience, these are the kinds of rules that we follow. So we make sure we use clear and inclusive language, and think about the target groups that we're dealing with, and use that sort of language and tools suited to them. So for example, if the target group was, we were doing a policy document, because sometimes we've done that where it might produce a policy document, we probably would use different language and present it, and overall make the overall look of the document or whatever it was different than maybe one we might be using to work with young people or older people or people from different ethnic minorities, etc. So you think about your target group and use the tools and the kind of images, graphics, if they're necessary, if it's an academic document, not. So you have to think a bit about that, but that's what we always try and use anyway. But no matter what, we try and be clear. All the publications, we define a key message at the beginning of the project, and that, or everything that we do from there on in, we look at making sure it's sending that key message, which is the key message normally of the project. And obviously, if you follow that every time you think about producing something, and we do think about quality instead of quantity. It's not about absolutely bombarding with loads of different, just random stuff all the time that's not really given the key message, or it's just like repetitive or boring. We think about quality. So instead of putting out 75 posts a week, we might think about producing a nice reel and putting that out, particularly if we're working with young people or something like that. So it's about quality and thinking about not just oh well, we've done 150 posts this month, but really nobody's read them because they're all the same and a little bit boring. So you need to think about how you think about the quality. And we generally publish project items with a unified picture, with a visual identity created for the project. So we sort of think about the visual identity at the beginning of the project, create a logo and a color palette, and we try and stick to that, so that when if you're reusing dissemination materials that you've produced before, or you're putting everything together in one document, it looks more uniform, it looks more clear, and it's more, you've got the key message, the key colors, it's clear that it's all the same project and that all the partners are using the same thing, same hashtag, same colors, etc. So we always produce a dissemination strategy as a partnership, and we think about the dissemination strategy in a number of ways. So the objectives, obviously SMART objectives, you all know. We do think about the target audiences, both direct and indirect, and we identify the profiles, and this is really important to tailor everything to the needs. So there might be the direct target group might be young people, but the indirect could be policymakers. So again, going back to that, you might need to think about tailoring it and thinking about, one message doesn't fit all, but you need to still keep it all together in the in a unified way, again with the logos, the color palette, etc., so that it all looks it's obvious it's all the same project. And we try and use like a hook to attract our audience. So we think of like some strap lines, and particularly say we want to attract young people. We might, the project might be about environmental, doing something in the environment, or you're making a change in the environment, or environmental awareness raising. So we might say, do you care about your environment? We think of a good strap line for that. And then underneath, like a post with some bullet points, we use emojis, not loads and loads of obviously just text or stuff lifted from the bid or anything like that, because obviously that's just words and people won't read it. So we do try and make it a bit catchy. None of us are professional marketers, and we can't really afford to be doing that with every project. But I think the more you do it, the more you get used to it as well. And you can look at other people's examples and learn from it. And we certainly do that. And we take obviously examples from all our partners who have experience as well. So I think it's that's one of the key things, is to think of a way that makes it more attractive than just like, sometimes, your project got these big long titles, or the objectives are a little bit wordy, and that's not going to help you to attract people, particularly in social media or in the channels that are more commonly used today. So the type of activities we do, obviously, we want to be cost efficient. So we do use social media because everybody uses it and we have to. It's a way of life. We use try and get articles in local publications, local newspapers, through our networks as well. We have a lot of we're in quite a few networks where they produce publications, so we try and write articles for that. Often as well, if you've got like an academic partner, so university, we'll try and maybe write a paper which can be published in academic journals, stuff like that. So that, it's cost effective. You're not paying for advertising, but it's really broadening the reach of the project. Also, going to other events that are relevant to your topic is really important, because not only do you network and meet people who can obviously, offer advice, enrich your project, you can also disseminate the project wider as well, which is really important, obviously, for future sustainability. So we try and look at cost efficient ways. We haven't got, massive budgets to produce really expensive, films or anything like that. But if you can, at a low cost, get a really good dissemination strategy if you just look around at free channels or low cost ways of doing it. And we'll give some tips about that in a minute. And then we just set ourselves simple indicators. So we look at the reach of our posts, and if a particular post has a good reach, we look at why, and we don't, we change the way we've done something. Or if we try and do an event to attract young people and we don't get enough people, we'll learn from that and move on and try and do it in a different way. So so we use loads of different stuff, and Anya in the end is going to show you one project and a sort of a dissemination campaign for that. But we use videos, infographics, interactive experience. So we obviously, when we have events, we make sure that we don't do the type of events where people just, like I'm doing now, talking and other people listening. We try and make everything interactive. We co-produce stuff. We use quizzes, polls, surveys to try and engage people so that they feel invested, as part of your dissemination. They're sort of also contributing to it by being part of the activities as well. We do use newsletters and things like that as well because it's important. But another good thing that we really found is useful, we relate our project to milestones. So for example, here, if it's Europe Day, we might put a post up and say, Happy Europe Day. Today we celebrate Europe, and say, you know, we believe in an inclusive Europe. Our project such and such is promoting, you know, young people being more aware of the opportunities across Europe and being more part of Europe and being an active citizen in Europe. You know, so we might do something like that. World Refugee Day, if we've got a project that's working with refugees and migrants, then we would put a post up and then we say, you know, we're currently doing this to promote and support people from this target group. So that way. We also use our networks, and we're in quite a number of networks. This is just some of them. So the Wheel, obviously, Aon TAS, which is the Adult Education Network. I'm sure you'll know. We're in a network called Ideas Network, which is a European network, and it's people sharing ideas on European projects, partnerships, coming together, and obviously it's a way of developing new partnerships as well, but also getting support for dissemination of your current projects. And another network, New Ideas for New Opportunities. Again, it's a really good European network, and they do, look at your new partnerships, new projects, but they also produce a number of publications. They do podcasts, videos and stuff like that, and even do online discussions, and we've taken part in them, which enables us to then, obviously, as a podcast, talk about our projects and our work, etc., at a local level in Ireland. So it links both to the European and then the local level as well. Because we've got a member of staff who works a lot in prison education, so we're in the EU Prison Education Network, and also the EU Anti-Bullying Network, because we've done a lot of projects around bullying, and we've got a member of staff who works a lot in bullying and anti-discrimination. So some of our dissemination campaigns, so it was going back to what I was saying before, we try and write articles for other people's publications as well. So we might write an article and then relate it to an article about here, environment and climate change, but then obviously related to some of the projects that we might have done in that area. So it makes it more interesting than just sort of a blend about a project. We put it how it's relevant to a current topic, or either a local, national or international level. And I think I'll hand over to Anya now, and she'll talk about some of the tips that we've learned from managing projects.
Thank you. Yes, so some of our tips is that this dissemination should always be on the agenda from the outset, and that it should always be regularly reviewed, not only as already said, quantity, but also quality. And we always make sure that all of the partners share the responsibility of the dissemination, and we mainly do like monthly rotation of the partners, but as the leader of the dissemination should always make sure that it aligns with the goals that are set at the beginning. And at the quieter times of the project, we usually focus on writing articles so that we keep the communication open. At the beginning of the project, we always set our goals of how many posts we want for each social media. And it's really important to take into consideration that different social medias require different attention, and that different target groups are focused on different social media. So we never, so for example, on LinkedIn, we will post a bit less, but then on Instagram, we will be very more engaging, because youth is usually on Instagram, and they really require attention, and their attention span is very short, while on Facebook is generally a bit more mature, let's say. So then we would post maybe like 1 or 2 maximum per month. So anyways, when we don't have any events to disseminate, then that is the time when we start writing articles, or we find already written articles that are directly connected to our project, and that's what we share. And yes, always plan beyond the project lifetime, because sustainability is success. We do try to post a bit even after the project is ended, which is usually not always, of course, the easiest thing, but we do try to do that. And some of our tips on inclusion is that so we opt for images that are featuring individuals with disabilities, genders, ethnic background, age, size, cultural and sexual orientations. We try to be as inclusive as possible on our social media, our projects, as well as our own REDIALs. And then we also select images that depict women and individuals with disabilities in active roles, as well as, of course, individual for ethnic minorities. We avoid limiting the images of traditional marginalized groups to specific scenarios, such as featuring a same-sex family exclusively in the context of LGBTQA+ rights. And we steer clear of images that reinforce stereotypes. And now we would like for you to go to Mentimeter and to share the this is you I will try to copy the link, or you can just scan the QR code and to type the three keywords that first come up to your mind when you hear the word dissemination. You can also go at menti.com and then use this code. I will try to switch down.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to Anya and Nicola. Do you have the link? Maybe we could post it in the chat. Otherwise, I would say go to Menti, and then we could post the code.
I will send you the link now. Just
great.
It's in the.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks so much. That was a great overview. You should be able to share the results also.
We can also share screen and get.
Oh yeah.
They will pop up the answers.
Yeah, perfect.
So, see.
Great. So I would encourage everyone to go to this link and put the key components of your dissemination strategy in there, and we give them a minute.
So, and at the end, you will just show a quick overview of one of our projects, so you can see some of it in.
Okay, targeted, visually appealing, clarity. So we also got sharing information, engagement, good news stories, message, impact, promoting the EU. Sharing info, networking. Yeah, the engagement. Engagement is the most popular one here, and I assume that is probably the first word that comes to pretty much everyone's mind, because what's the point of our dissemination if we really don't have the engagement? That's something that we should always think about, and we should always follow our results. Impact, sharing info,
good news,
clarity, good news, target. Yeah, this is much more. Thank you. We will. I know we are a bit over time, so sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So I will just quickly show you, just so you can see what we were talking about. This is one of the Facebook page of one of our projects. It's called Strands, and the project is about transforming schools in the digital area. And here you can see some of the examples of what we have been talking about. We try to keep our text as short as possible, and we use a little bit of emojis to try to make it a bit more engaging. We, as you can see, that we follow always the same color palette, which is always the color palette of our logo, just so when it's more visually appealing and easier to remember unconsciously. This is actually the LTTA that happened at our offices in Dublin in July. where we hosted our partners and 12 young people from secondary schools. So yeah, this is the newsletter. We usually do newsletters about every 3 to 4 months, where we just share what we have been doing and what's next on our agenda, and we always make sure to translate the newsletter in all partner languages. And when we post, we always put also the link to our website, and we always tag. So that's pretty much it. We always make sure to tag the partners. That's also one thing. At the beginning, we ask all of our partners to share the links to their social media, and whenever we post, we always make sure to tag them, because then it's how the engagement grows more naturally. So yeah.
And sometimes the paid promotion thing.
Yes, if yeah, we try. It's not to do that, but sometimes we are thinking about maybe trying that strategy out to start maybe paying for like 1 or 2 posts just to like boost the engagement more. Yeah, pretty much it, I can say.
Excellent.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.